I didn't care about history, and in school it was boring because you're just trying to memorize dates and this and that, and it didn't mean anything. They weren't real people. Now, if you're talking about somebody that you knew or an ancestor or something, now it's a real person. It becomes interesting.
Dean Ladd is introducing modern-day readers to real people from his own past. A retired engineer with both Kaiser Aluminum and Lockheed, Dean is writing biographies of family members, as well as an autobiography of his stories from World War II. His writing started when he revisited battlegrounds where he had fought as a Marine.
I took 5-week, 6-week trips out into the Pacific, rewalking my battlefield sites. And when I was in the Marines in World War II, Guadalcanal, Tarawa, Saipan, Tinian, and stood in the exact place where I was wounded in Tarawa and almost died.
During a landing at Tarawa, Dean was shot and almost killed while still in the water. He was rescued by the pilot of a landing craft. That pilot, who went on to become a well-known actor, was Eddie Albert. When Dean returned to visit his former battlefields, he collected a vast amount of information about the war.
Then I had all this information, did interviews with Japanese doing the same thing and talking to natives and other veterans, and what am I going to do with this? And then it finally boils down, well, you're going to have to write it, put it in a book. Well, how are you going to do that? You know, you're not a writer. Also, you don't know how to do any typesetting or anything, and if you don't want to spend the money for it. And then the computer developed to the point where now you're doing your own typesetting, and I did it through, in that case, WordPerfect.
And so Dean has become an author, writing a number of books about personal and family history. One of Dean's books deals with the story of his grandfather and the story of Spokane.
The book about Thomas Elsom, who installed the first telephone in Spokane, 1886, we've had his information that my mother had pulled together, and have all of his, well, when he died, she retained that information. And we had all of his diaries and all these photographs. We wondered what to do with this. It'd be a shame not to pull it together.
Dean's grandfather, Thomas Elsom, helped to ignite one of the first technological revolutions in the Spokane area.
He installed the first telephone in 1886. It was on Howard and Riverside. Of course, none of those buildings exist today because of the fire.
In August 1889, most of downtown Spokane was destroyed by a great fire. The wooden buildings of the time provided perfect fuel for the huge flames. After a massive effort, downtown Spokane was rebuilt.
30 years later, a little less, he installed the first dial phone in that same location. Now that location was a grocery store, but also it was owned by a realtor by the name of Bean. And right across the street from that was where the central telephone office was. It was a bank. And what struck us was that here he has not much beyond a grade school education, a little bit of high school, you might consider it that. But he's able to get into the latest, the cutting edge of technology just by, just natural ability apparently, and stick-to-itiveness.
The story of the telephone's arrival in Spokane becomes a history of Spokane itself, with references to landmarks like Holmes Elementary School and Nat Park, as well as Spokane residents like Peter Jacoy, owner of a well-known cigar shop on the corner of Sprague and Washington. Of course, the main focus of the book is Dean's grandfather, Thomas Elsom.
Well, I realized that all the years I was growing up, I didn't appreciate what my grandfather had done because he's such a quiet person that didn't talk about his accomplishments. But as we got in this, my golly, look what he has done. People today looking back, I don't think they fully appreciate it. I think we tend to look back on the pioneers as, well, they were just stumbling along. And the way technology develops, it's little bit by bit by bit by bit. And today, somebody that's involved in technology, they're involved in that little bit. But he was right at the beginning where big things that are happening that nobody's ever done before. And I don't think people later really fully appreciate that.
Dean Ladd is doing his bit to let people appreciate the accomplishments of former Northwest residents, and he's having a great time in the process.
Once you get into it, it becomes like a detective story as you go along, and just little pieces start coming together.
If you have an idea for Northwest Profiles, send it to KSPS TV, 3911 South Regal, Spokane, Washington 99223. Northwest Profiles is a presentation of KSPS Public Television.